Ragna, a boy deemed unattractive and orphaned at a young age, lost his parents to dragon attacks. Later adopted by a kind-hearted couple, they too met the same fate, consumed by dragons. This cycle of loss continued until everyone eventually abandoned him. Unbeknownst to them, Ragna wasn't just an ordinary child. He was a dormant god whose powers had been sealed away. Before any of this unfolds, deep within a shadowy forest, Ragna regains consciousness to find the corpse of a dragon lying before him. The one who felled it is none other than his companion, Leo, a prodigy and the kingdom's top dragon slayer, despite being only 12 years old. Back at the guild, Leo is celebrated like a hero, while Ragna is dismissed and mocked, seen as a weakling and even criticized for clinging to someone as exceptional as Leo. The guild members believe he doesn't deserve to be around her. This infuriates Leo, who fiercely defends him, declaring that only she has the right to stand beside Ragna. That night, after putting Leo to bed, Ragna quietly slips away to train. During his training, he experiences a powerful vision of a grim, battle-hardened man fighting dragons. The man appears obsessed with becoming stronger to protect someone precious to him, Leo. Over the next few days, Ragna begins to suspect something strange, especially about the city of Donapiru, which hasn't been attacked by dragons in years, a rarity in this world. Ragna's visions intensify, particularly when he sleeps near Leo. The shared unrest leaves both of them sleep-deprived. When Leo asks if something is wrong, Ragna can't explain, but she encourages him with unwavering belief, saying her instincts tell her he's destined for greatness, even beyond her. 1 week later, the guild receives shocking news. Donapiru has been destroyed by dragons. An emergency mission is dispatched. Leo rushes ahead alone, and Ragna chases after her. Outside the city, the hunters encounter a terrifying foe, a humanoid dragon, more powerful than any before. Ragna recognizes it from his visions. In battle, his sword breaks, and he is flung into a river, his battered body unable to swim. As he sinks, he is overwhelmed by another vision, this time meeting the middle-aged man face to face. The man ridicules Ragna for failing to protect Leo. Ragna, bewildered, learns the truth. The man is a future version of himself. Just like present Ragna, he was once weak and helpless. But after witnessing Leo's death, he made the ultimate choice, to travel back in time and change fate. With this revelation, Ragna unlocks the divine power buried within him. While Ragna awakens this new strength, Leo confronts the superior dragon, one of the lesser elites among dragonkind, beneath the royal dragon monarchs. In a moment of vulnerability, she visits her favorite bakery in Donapiru, only to find it destroyed after a robbery. This petty event enraged the dragon god, who had protected the city, prompting its annihilation. As Leo prepares to fight, the superior dragon moves to kill her, but is stopped cold by a wave of murderous energy behind him. Ragna, now transformed and radiating a silvery light, stands alive. He has awakened the Silverine battle arts, a technique from the future that makes him a living blade against dragons. Ragna defeats the dragon, revealing strength on par with the dragon monarchs, the direct bloodline of the dragon god. As the danger passes, he breaks down in Leo's arms, overcome with emotion. For once, it's Leo who offers comfort. Meanwhile, outside the flow of time, future Ragna meets a red-haired figure who comments on his rare smile, stating that everything now hinges on what the past Ragna chooses to do. Back in the present, Ragna and Leo are interrupted by Sykes, the second strongest dragon hunter. He confronts Ragna about his newfound strength, questioning whether he's even the same person. Before Ragna can answer, another attack forces them into action. They find that vines engulfing the city are infused with dragon magic, vulnerable only to weapons charged with silverine energy. Strangely, the dragons are attacking at night, despite being weakened by darkness. In the forest, Ragna encounters a grotesque dragon disguised as a man, devouring humans. He kills it before it can finish its final victim, a maid he recognizes. He calls her Crimson, addressing her with male terms, which offends her. He casually responds that gender doesn't matter, it can be changed easily. Leo arrives in time to see Ragna's overwhelming strength again. He informs her that they must part ways. Leo refuses, reminding him of their vow to stay together. But Ragna insists that her current strength would only get her killed. Hurt, she lashes out, trying to fight him. Ragna defeats her easily and entrusts her to Sykes, asking him to leave the kingdom. which is now doomed under the dragon god's wrath. Later, Ragna meets a white-haired girl and tells her that they were partners in the future, working together to destroy all dragons. She is shocked, as she has no memory of such a thing. Ragna collapses with a fever. While he rests, the girl inspects his body and discovers it is fused with a silver blade. His potential is unlike anything she's seen. When Ragna awakens, he senses dragons pursuing Sakes' group. Grabbing the girl, he rushes to intercept them and unleashes his powers to freeze most of the enemies. Witnessing this, the white-haired girl reveals her true identity. Crimson, the same dragon from his vision and past life. Once known as the Winged Monarch, she was one of 6 noble dragon bloodlines. However, she lost her title and essence of true dragonhood, allowing her to survive under sunlight. After eliminating the remaining dragons, Crimson offers a pact. She'll help Ragna destroy all dragons if he drinks a special poison that will activate only if he betrays her. Ragna agrees without hesitation. He already trusts her from their shared future. Crimson accepts him as a partner, but with one last condition. When their mission is done, Ragna must be the one to end her life. He agrees. Crimson then asks how much of their past he remembers. Ragna admits that his memories only return in fragments as he relives events in this timeline. Disappointed, Crimson contemplates breaking off their alliance, but chooses to stay. Despite Ragna's insistence on staying close to Crimson, things take a sudden turn when a mysterious slime creature, the same one that once consumed dragons, emerges from her body and warns Ragna to back off from his master. Crimson calmly calls the creature back, reprimanding it for overstepping its boundaries. Elsewhere, chaos brews as a powerful demon, one of the upper-ranked beings with control over wind, spreads destruction for his amusement, killing humans without remorse. A group of people attempts to resist his subordinate dragons, but, hopelessly outmatched, they flee for their lives, until their savior appears. The legendary Dragon Slayer arrives just in time. That hero is Ragna, and this time his partner isn't Leo, but Crimson. She introduces him to the terrified group as a Dragon Reaper, a name that immediately earns their awe. Wanting to emphasize her role, she announces herself as a mage, a rare and often forgotten profession. But just as she finishes, Ragna collapses from overexertion. Crimson explains that his body can't yet handle his growing power, and he'll need 3 days to recover. In the meantime, she takes charge of the group, coercing them into joining her fight to protect the nearby city. She offers them a way to grow stronger, by using weapons infused with Ragna's silver aura. Crimson leads them to an armory she's prepared, lets them choose their gear, and has Ragna imbue the weapons with his power. Then, Crimson casually suggests that instead of abandoning Leo, they should just trap her in one of her storage dimensions, where she'd remain safe forever. This suggestion enrages Ragna, who now sees just how twisted and manipulative Crimson truly is. But Crimson, as always, takes his insult as a form of flattery and walks away, leading her new troops to battle the wind-controlling demon. At the next city, Crimson mocks the superior dragon until he loses his temper and reveals himself as the 3rd-ranked dragon in the winged bloodline. With his rage blinding him, Crimson lures him into a sunlit area where his wind powers falter and the sunlight begins to burn his body. With his magic suppressed, he collapses and the humans finish him off. Though they thank Crimson, she erases their memories of her, leaving only the image of Ragna in their minds. Later, Crimson tunes into a broadcast from the kingdom, calling all citizens to the capital, a supposed safe haven protected by a magical barrier. The king, Femin, is puzzled by this sudden move. But then Ultimacia, the current monarch of the winged dragons, arrives and freezes time to speak with him. She apologizes, claiming her subordinate's rampage in Donapiru was unauthorized. But just as King Femin begins to consider peace, she drops a revelation. The entire kingdom is to be eradicated by the dragon god's decree. Furious, the king attempts to fight back using the kingdom's ultimate weapon, but is betrayed by his own advisor, who is secretly a dragon. The king is killed, but Ultimacia rewinds time and gives him an ultimatum. Obey her, or watch his people perish. Now a puppet ruler, he is left behind as Ultimacia revives her 2nd-ranked servant, Voltichimyu, and sends him south to deal with the humans killing her superior dragons. Meanwhile, Ragna and Crimson approach Ultimacia's capital. Ragnar dreams of the past, when he tried and failed to kill the entire winged dragon bloodline after they destroyed Lee's kingdom. Back then, he was too weak. Ultimacia saw potential in him and decided to convert him into a superior dragon by injecting him with her blood. She told him that the hatred and pain he carried would vanish after the transformation. As she plunged a blood seal into his chest, Ragnar screamed in agony, more from the loss of his memories than the physical pain. In a desperate move to retain his identity, he impaled himself with a silver sword. Thinking him dead, Ultimacia left. Crimson later found him, preserved his body, and brought him back to life. Now in the present, the capital appears unusually empty, despite being flooded with immigrants. Crimson suspects foul play and warns Ragnar not to act, especially if he sees Ultimacia. She leaves Slime behind to watch over him as she meets with her inside agents, Golem, a high-ranking officer, and Chimera, her loyal follower. As Slime pushes Ragnar around the city, they cross paths with Ultimacia. She notices Ragnar looking unwell and inquires if he's okay. Ragnar wants to attack immediately, but restrains himself, remembering Crimson's warning. Slime covers for him, claiming Ragnar gets sick in crowds. Ultimacia accepts this and moves on. Soon after, her subordinate, Nebulum, informs her that Ragnar is a dragon hunter. Ultimacia is uninterested. Instead, she asks how the covert operation of making people vanish painlessly is progressing. Nebulum assures her everything is going smoothly. Meanwhile, Crimson obtains a recording of Ultimacia's encounter with King Femin and discovers the secret of her time manipulation. She cannot freeze time while rewinding it. That brief window is when she's vulnerable. Crimson knows Ragnar succeeded in killing Ultimacia once in the future, so it can be done again. Feeling guilty for hesitating earlier, Ragnar leaves Slime behind and charges straight to Ultimacia. His silver aura alone annihilates Nebulum, who was boasting about eliminating humans without causing suffering. Realizing Ragnar won't be swayed by words, Ultimacia activates her time magic. But Ragnar strikes before she can fully reverse time, repeatedly dismantling her body before she can stabilize. In the middle of the battle, Ragnar flashes back to the moment he was turned into a superior dragon. The pain of losing his memories and identity was worse than death. To save himself, he impaled his own heart with a silver blade, preferring death over becoming one of them. Back in real time, Crimson realizes Ragnar has defied her instructions, something she despises almost as much as dragons. But she keeps her composure and orders her agents to protect him and eliminate any interference. Ultimacia, now desperate, plays her final card, rewinding time to the moment she first met Ragnar. She pauses time to strike, but Ragnar breaks free. Because he once carried her blood, he is immune to her time powers. However, using his future abilities drains him, and he collapses. Recognizing that magic alone can't destroy his now silver-forged body, Ultimacia commands King Femin to fire the kingdom's secret weapon. But Crimson arrives just in time and stops them from harming Ragnar. Crimson's real motive for rescuing Ragnar wasn't just to save him. She hoped to force Ultimacia into using her ultimate trump card, reversing time once more. To trigger this, Crimson's followers set off explosive attacks across the city, plunging the capital into chaos. Ultimacia, desperate to maintain her image of benevolence and mercy, is pushed to the edge. However, when she considers using her time magic, Nebulon intervenes and warns her that using it again will drain her powers completely. Disappointed that Ultimacia didn't fall into her trap, Crimson retreats quietly with Ragnar, instructing Golem to clean up the situation. She takes Ragnar into a private teleportation space for safety. Outside, Nebulon comforts the emotionally shattered Ultimacia, but seeing her break down reignites his loyalty. Remembering his role as her top warrior, he fully reawakens. Though he tries to track down Crimson and Ragnar, the dimension they're in hides them, until Ragnar stirs. His silverine aura unintentionally ruptures the space, revealing their location. Fortunately, Crimson activates another emergency escape, teleporting them randomly. But their new destination poses a new problem. They land near the stronghold of Princess Starlia, the second royal of Lee's kingdom. Her soldiers seize Crimson, treating Ragnar, being human, as a casualty to be healed. Crimson is dragged before Starlia, who, despite being born without arms, has exceptional command over silverine aura and can detect truth through people's aura. Crimson is forced to carefully mix truth with deceit, revealing her dragon-like eye and claiming to be a thaumaturge, not a dragon. She lies about defecting from the Solarians, an influential religious order at war with dragons. Most of the group believes her story, thanks to their own thaumaturge vouching for the teleportation spell. But Starlia remains skeptical and sentences Crimson to death. Before the execution can happen, Ragna arrives and rescues her. Crimson is unbothered, as she can't truly die. The entire group, however, is stunned by Ragna's overwhelming power. Starlia, whose special eyes perceive Ragna as a gleaming silver blade, instantly becomes infatuated. Her advisor Nazarena pulls her back to reality and escorts her away. Ragna and Crimson are temporarily imprisoned, where Crimson scolds Ragna for disobeying orders. After he apologizes, she explains that Starlia's group is likely to be targeted by superior dragons sent by Ultimacia because of Starlia's past victory over one of the 13 seats. As Starlia reflects on the looming threat, she's furious at how powerless they are against the dragons. Nazarena reminds her that their strength stems from her leadership. Knowing their enemy now, they need strategy and reconnaissance. Crimson cleverly manipulates Starlia's rage and sense of helplessness, but Starlia refuses to work directly with her, instead placing her trust in Ragna. Fortunately for Crimson, Ragna's newfound place in Starlia's heart makes him the perfect middleman. They forge a temporary alliance to confront the incoming threat together. Back with the dragons, Ultimacia remains terrified of Ragna, unable to bring herself to use her powers. Volticamu exploits this fear and pushes her to act by asking for the order to eliminate Ragna and Crimson. Initially hesitant to damage her pure image, Ultimacia finally snaps and unleashes her rage, commanding Volticamu to bring her their severed hands. With the alliance between Ragna and Starlia now official, they begin preparing for the war ahead. Ragna presents his trump card, his Silverine battle arts, which can empower regular silver weapons. However, most of the available weapons are too weak to withstand his power. Ragna demands stronger arms, which Starlia agrees to provide after testing his strength. She pits him against her elite soldiers in a trial where he must fight and simultaneously infuse their weapons. Though the outcome demoralizes her troops due to his sheer strength, Ragna encourages them, saying only Leo has come close to their level of skill. As the humans prepare, so too do the dragons. Having lost 4 of their elite 13 seats, the winged bloodline tightens its defenses. Volticamu and Tarktora stay behind to guard Ultimacia, while Zora, Tarktora, and Urshgon are dispatched to hunt down Starlia's group. For the human extermination operation in the capital, the ancient dragon Borgias, an aged veteran from the last era, volunteers for one final glorious battle. Meanwhile, Crimson visits Ragna in his cell and tells him he must stop using his signature Silverine battle arts, now that the dragons have learned of them. She warns him that Volticamu in particular is a threat who has broken past his limits, much like Ragna himself. Instead, she advises him to channel all his aura into swords ahead of time so he can strike without revealing his abilities. Later, Starlia pulls Ragna aside for a private conversation. She brings him to a secluded tunnel to talk about what lies ahead. After the upcoming battle, she plans to accept the Solarians' offer and become a dragon scourge so her people can find refuge. But she has a bad feeling she won't survive. She asks Ragna to take over that responsibility. He refuses, promising instead that he won't let her die. To prove it, he asks for her best weapons, which he infuses with his silver aura to make them deadlier than ever. Starlia is so overwhelmed by his strength and words that she blushes, runs off, and vows to become strong enough to craft weapons to match his. Soon, the superior dragons arrive. Zora hangs back, while Tarktora crashes down like a meteor. Ragna confronts him with 2 immense silver swords, carefully avoiding exposing his identity as the feared Ragna the Reaper. While they duel, Starlia and her fighters face an army of corrupted humans, victims of Zora's tainted blood. Many of her soldiers hesitate, having never fought other humans, but Starlia, hardened by her responsibilities, shows no mercy. She charges into battle, bearing the burden of her people and cutting down enemies without hesitation. Starlia's determination ignites something within the humans. Inspired by her bravery, their hesitation vanishes and they begin fighting back fiercely. attacking both corrupted humans and dragons with no restraint. Meanwhile, Ragna's battle with Tarik Tora reaches its final phase. Both warriors prepare their ultimate attacks to end the fight. Ragna, unable to use his silverine battle arts, resorts to a dragon-slaying technique that channels all his aura into a single decisive strike. However, his sword can't handle the power and shatters, leaving him vulnerable. Tarik Tora is declared the victor, but instead of finishing Ragna, he leaves him for the lesser dragons to dispose of. After Tarik Tora retreats, Starlia's soldiers, Shin and Graham, rush in to save Ragna. But instead of being thankful, Ragna lashes out, demanding they leave and claiming he'll survive on his own. Shin punches him and tells him to stop being selfish. They aren't weak enough to retreat when their comrades need them. Elsewhere, Crimson is helping Few, the thaumaturge, to harvest dragon blood for use in a teleportation spell. What they don't know is that Zora, a former Solarian now allied with the dragons, is aware of this technique and intends to crush their plan. He commands 40 mature dragons, stronger than lesser and medium-tier dragons, to eliminate the humans and prevent them from acquiring any more dragon blood. Realizing their plans have been discovered, Starlia rallies her forces to hold their position and fend off the mature dragons. But they struggle. The mature dragons' sheer power leads to their formation breaking apart, and Starlia finds herself isolated. One of the mature dragons, a white one wielding time magic, unleashes havoc. Just as things look dire, Crimson arrives with a sunlight-infused orb, incinerating the dragon before more lives are lost. To increase their forces, Crimson arms the bunker's commoners and sends them into battle, harvesting dragon blood from the fallen. While most people are occupied with mature dragons, Few faces off against Ershkigal, the 13th and weakest of the superior dragons. Few barely manages to kill him, sacrificing his sanity and nearly losing his arm in the process due to dangerous magic. Crimson, impressed by his progress, considers making him her long-term investment, but focuses on the battlefield for now. Zora senses Ershkigal's death and becomes even more aggressive. Crimson leads her group toward the battlefield's center to gather more dragon blood and fuel the teleportation spell. Meanwhile, Ragna, pushed to his limits, keeps advancing with Shin and Graham, pursuing Tarik Tora. Though Ragna is exhausted and his body is failing, he remembers the future version of himself who saw others as liabilities. This realization triggers a breakthrough. He unlocks a heightened state of perception, allowing him to predict enemy movements and strike with lethal precision. This new clarity shocks Graham, who realizes that Ragna's strength is the result of immense past experience, memories from a future that Ragna is now tapping into. Zora notices the sudden shift and sends 6 more mature dragons at Ragna. But they are all swiftly defeated, none surviving more than a minute. Zora finally realizes that this is indeed the Reaper who previously stormed the capital. However, due to his arrogance, he refuses to summon Voltikami for help, exactly as Crimson anticipated. Meanwhile, Crimson arrives at the magic circle and tricks the humans into rebelling against Fu and the other thaumaturges, trying to steal the access code needed to activate the teleport. She plans to escape with only the people she finds useful, leaving the rest behind. Few resists, but Crimson seduces him, declaring that, while she has no true gender, she can shift as needed to make anyone fall for her. Just as Fue is about to fall under her control, his sister Majorca awakens a latent power and overrides the magic circle, teleporting Crimson and her followers to a far-off location. Afterward, she collapses unconscious. Back in the chaos, Starlia is saved from a swarm of mature dragons by her commander, Christopher, and her loyal soldiers. Each dragon they defeat fills them with hope and gives them new strength. This hope sharpens their abilities to such a degree that they can even slay mature dragons. The intense brilliance of Starlia's will reminds Zora of a princess he once served, catching him off guard. This lets Nazarena slip through his defenses and stab him with a silver sword. Unfortunately, the body she destroys is just a decoy. The real Zora has hidden himself underground. Having completed her mission, Nazarena withdraws, entrusting the rest to Starlia and her troops. Now knowing where Zora is hiding, Starlia uses her aura powers to try pulling him from the earth. But in doing so, she accidentally awakens Borges, an ancient dragon buried beneath the forest. Borges begins destroying everything in his path, friend and foe alike. Zora is furious that Borgias is still alive, but also grateful. The ancient dragon's rampage allows him to escape Starlia's grasp. Unfortunately for him, Ragna, Shin, and Graham are closing in, forcing Zora to instruct Tark Torah to unleash a devastating attack that will reduce the area to rubble. As chaos consumes the battlefield, Zora finds a battered and unconscious Starlia. He deceives Tark Torah, claiming Starlia is missing so he can quietly rescue her. Zora hopes to convert her into one of the winged bloodline under Ultimatia. But this proves to be his downfall. Starlia, the very embodiment of aura, responds to danger with a radiant awakening. She channels the strength of her comrades into Christopher, who lands a crushing blow on Zora. Though Zora is fatally wounded, he refuses to die easily. He instructs Tark Torah to launch another ultimate attack. But this time, Starlia is ready. She orders Christopher, still empowered by her aura, to intercept the assault. Unfortunately, Tark Torah deflects the counterattack. Just then, the final piece of Starlia's strategy comes into play. Ragna appears. Seizing one of the great silver swords, he charges Tark Torah to deliver the killing strike. Realizing defeat is inevitable, Tark Torah self-destructs, preventing anyone from getting near. But Ragna isn't convinced he's dead. He continues to search the battlefield, determined to end it for good. Meanwhile, Zora escapes again and receives a dying message from Tark Torah. He's still alive but won't last much longer.